never, ever long enough.
Hey, is that the wife talking, or is that just the intro, or what is it?
Story of my life, I think. But I think, you know what? It's one of those things. I'll get to it eventually, but the introduction.
Go on, lad. Go on. Welcome, Gary. How you doing, pal?
Yeah, lads, welcome. Welcome. It's Thursday, innit? I think this is number 4 or number 5 now. I think we've done of these. EPL preview shows on a Thursday. EPL Thursday preview brought to you by EPL Across the Pond. As usual, if you haven't done already, which I assume you have, I'm going to hope you have as well. There's a little ticker running across the bottom there. You can like and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Instagram or Facebook at EPL Across the Pond. This is, of course, the Thursday preview show. There's been a lot that's happened over the past couple of weeks. There's been 2 rounds of games in between the Premier League games. If your team's involved in Europe and or the FA Cup, you've had a game. If they're not, then you know what? You've had a nice little break, haven't you, in fairness?
Bit of Mallorca, a bit of Torremolinos or somewhere. Blackpool, maybe. Don't know. Somewhere.
And you know what? It never used to be like that, did it? I would imagine it was midweek. Midweek. Everyone now is going to Dubai. Well, probably not going to Dubai now, are they?
No, but Malaga.
South of France, Malaga, yeah, something like that. Yeah, no. Listen, but if you're like fans of the teams that we've had, then we've been in the thick of it, for better or worse.
Yeah.
How have you been anyway, mate?
I've been good, man. Been good. The weather's having an effect on, but as it is on the football games as well. The winter weather of rain and drizzle and cold and wind. Not just in Detroit, it's also taking place in the UK. I watched the Forest game today, and just didn't make me miss playing football in the UK. That's for sure. It looked cold, very, very cold.
We've had a 50-degree temperature drop in the last 24 hours.
I had my shorts and t-shirt on Monday. It was beautiful.
80 degrees, mate. I got sunburnt on Monday and Tuesday, and then today it was Baltic again. It was snowing when I left work before.
Got to watch that egghead. You got to get the hat on. You get Bontsburn.
Hey, problems. It's absolute problems. Yeah, it's proper problems. Speaking of problems, I know, seamless, man, seamless, right? So last week we posed a question, and it was named the 10 grounds, stadiums in the UK that have hosted Premier League games and no longer exist. Now, can I tell you that this caused absolute murder on social media? Now, and I'm not arguing, because again, we got a lot of views. We got a ton of views on Facebook. We got a ton of views on Instagram. We got a ton of views on YouTube, on all of our channels. But I just want to put it to bed now, because it's so funny when things go viral like this. Like it's happened a couple of times before. You're like, nice one. Yeah, someone likes this. You get a little bit of a follow. You get more views. Then all of a sudden, someone makes a comment and they're not quite right. So you try and correct them. Next thing, somebody else comes in and has a pop at him because he's got one wrong. He's got another one wrong. And then next thing, there's arguing over Plough Lane and Ayresome Park, and they never played in the Prem. And this is a load. And there was all sorts going on. It was hilarious.
It'd be nice to say there was no right or wrong answers in this, but there are right and there are wrong answers.
There really are right.
What we're going to do tonight is we're going to explain what the right answers were against what the wrong answers were and why they weren't quite right.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is the lineup. And again, you know what? As ever, if you have an opinion on anything we say, if you want to call bollocks on everything we say in the next 10 seconds, who knows? If you want, just reach out in the comments. If you just want to say hello, do that as well. But reach yourselves out, have a chat with myself and Chris. Okay, I'm going to give you the 10 answers now.
Go on.
All right. Highbury is one of them. No longer there now. It's a block of flats. White Hart Lane is not there anymore. The new stadium is built literally next to it. Highfield Road, which is Coventry. Baseball ground, which is Derby. I can remember Juninho playing in this ground for Middlesbrough.
Right.
Just absolutely caked in mud. I don't know if you remember the baseball ground. It was like, if you imagine a rectangle and just carved out and just the corners were grass, like the 10 yards in the corners where you couldn't go off a corner kick. That was where the grass was. Everything else was just mud.
Like a chocolate cake. It was like one big ruffled chocolate.
One big chocolate cake, yeah. Then you had Ayresome Park, where they did play, because the Riverside was only opened in, I believe it was 1996, because I want to say that Ravanelli
the Silver Fox, wasn't it? The Silver Feather.
Ravanelli scored a hat-trick against Liverpool on the first day of that season, but they played next Ayresome Park before. Roker Park was another one. Sunderland had played there in the early years of the Premier League. Main Road, which is amazing because you think of Oasis concerts, you think of some of the Manchester derbies in Main Road.
Oh, the old Kipak stand.
The massive Kipak stand wasn't it the biggest stand
tallest height-wise, yeah.
Yeah, and it was all the way across at one point. Then they redid it, and then they basically got rid of it. The bowling ground for the West Ham fans, the Upton Park for everybody else, but the bowling ground is the correct name for it. You had the Dell. That's one that catches people.
Right. You just don't think about it, do you? Because they've been playing at St Mary's for so long now. You just don't think about it. It becomes like part of the culture.
Yeah, but you think about the goals Letitia scored there as well. And then Filbert Street, Leicester.
Played there many a time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And these are the ones, okay, so they were the 10 that made it. The ones that didn't make it, and we'll explain it now, Plough Lane, they never played in the Premier League at Plough Lane. And in fact, when Wimbledon played in the Premier League, they played at Selhurst Park. And obviously, with the plan, I think the plan was always to get a different stadium, but it never came about. And then that's why they fell into the doldrums and reinvented themselves as MK Dons. Goodison is still there, even though
that was the naughty one, was it? That was the one that caused the most.
This was like the red herring a little bit. People call people out. People were going bananas about this as well. But like the women's team now play at Goodison, so there's still football being played there.
To be fair, Gary, the clue was in the question.
It was. And you know what's funny? Some poor bugger got so much pelters on Instagram. Everyone said that. Someone actually said that about 3 times. The clue was in the question. At Dave something it was. Charlton always played at the Valley in the Premier League. They only got promoted at the end of the 90s. Clive Mendonca scored a hat-trick at Wembley. He might have even scored 4. Can't remember. Brentford never played at Griffin Park. They've always played in the G-Tech or whatever that new one's called since they've been in the Prem. So they were the answers that were right, and they were the answers that were wrong. So
that's why we're here.
And that's why we're here. And we are
Games Master.
I will say this though. Every single person who commented, every single person who contributed to that, liked it. We had about 1,500 reshares. People sent it to people. And like we said last week, it's one of those questions that you can do that in the pub and it might take you 10 minutes. It might take you an hour, but it's a fun one because there's loads of answers. So on that, given off the back of that, we've come up with another one for this week. And we've gone backwards and forwards with what we're going to call it. We tried to call this section like a really catchy thing, like something that really rolls off the tongue.
Smarts.
We didn't really get to that. So what we've come up with is Gary and Chris's proper dead hard Thursday trivia question, which I think makes sense.
This is it.
This is it. Gary and Chris's proper dead hard Thursday trivia question. If anyone's got a better idea, we thought of a couple, but they were a little bit too out there. Mike goes in a bit of trouble. Anne Robinson will be on the phone. All right. So get your pens ready. Get your pads ready. Get your thinking caps on. If you're watching this now at home, if you're in the pub, wherever you are, if you're watching this on the reel, this is what the question is. All right.
Get your dibbers, your dabbers, and your dobbers ready. Eyes down.
Name the 10 oldest remaining football grounds that still host games in England's top 4 leagues, right? Now, here's the thing. The caveat to this is there are more than 10, so we'll give you a leeway because some of the grounds were made or built in the same year.
This is proper hard, Gary. This is proper hard.
You know what? It's almost proper dead hard Thursday trivia. But name the 10 oldest remaining football grounds that still host games in England's top 4 leagues. Go. If you've got an opinion, ping it in the comments. I can't wait. Honestly, this is a good one. This is a good one. So if you have opinions, fire them in the comments. Let's see what people think, and we'll get a bit of chatter going. All right.
This is going to start the next round of controversies, I'm sure.
It is. This is going to cause murder. We'll bring it up at the end as well. We'll give a couple of answers as we get them. All right. So I think now's time for
week 30.
It's a time for a bit of an appeal.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's that time of year again. Obviously everyone's listening. I hope everyone's listening. It's that time of year again, where Spurs aren't doing as well as maybe they should be. Times are getting tight. People don't maybe want to go to the game. They're worried about stepping outside the house through fear of ridicule.
They're leaving early, Gary. They're leaving early.
They're leaving early on before the 80th minute. They're leaving in the 60th minute. Okay,
half time. Two of them. Half time.
It's a tough time to be a Spurs fan. So, Chris and I and the rest of the lads here at EPL Across the Pond have decided to come up with a little initiative that hopefully, goes a little bit of a way to get them back on their feet. So what we've come up with is for this year, 2026, is the first year of the annual EPL Across the Ponds Hug a Hotspur campaign 2026. So if you see someone with a Spurs shirt on, if you see someone who's just a little bit down in the dumps after our Saturday game, you know what? Just go over, give him a hug, give him a tap on the shoulder, tell him it's going to be okay. All right.
Tell him you love him.
Tell him that West Brom away is not going to be that bad next season. Tell them that they won a European trophy last year, so it's not all that bad. Yeah. But just remember, this year, first annual Hug a Hotspur campaign. And like it says on the poster, a hug can change the world, Christopher.
I want to do something for the campaign, Gary. I want to get things started. I'm going to finance this campaign. I'm going to put some money in the pot to get this started right now. So if you'd like to join me in donating, if you can't hug a Hotspur, I know a few, but they're not near me. So I want to do my little bit to give back for those fans that are just going through a hard time at the minute. It's always a bit, difficult in this part of the year. We're all waiting for spring to come out. We're all excited about the World Cup, potential new transfers that are never going to happen in the summer. A long list of players that they're on the minds and the tongues of what they're going to get. But then they don't want to spend the money on the salaries and the signing on bonuses and the fees and stuff. And, beautiful stadium that I think Chris Waddle made a good point the other day that it's perfect for rugby league. It's perfect for boxing. Perfect for concerts, Gary. It's got great.
Taylor Swift would be perfect there.
Tay would rock that place in a heartbeat and get it going again. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like I say, you got some great trips out next season. It's sometimes nice to go somewhere new. Sometimes nice to go to potentially a Yeovil or Wrexham. It could be potentially a nice little day out somewhere different.
Never been to Bristol, me. Never been to Bristol. I think that might be a good one.
Oh, you mentioned West Brom, into Birmingham to the second city and get a train out there.
Stay in Stourbridge. Stay in Kimber. Nice, lovely little town. Been there.
Oh, Kidderminster's not too far. And then you've got places like Reading and, just wonderful different things. You're not going to have to go all the way to Newcastle. You're not going to have to go to Newcastle or Sunderland.
Ralphie is chiming in already. This is a great moment in time. Cherish it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you this. I will say this, Ralphie. I will be cherishing nothing when I go downstairs for a cup of tea after recorded this, and my missus is making me sleep on the couch tonight.
Just give her a hug.
The last thing I'll be doing is hugging a Hotspur for the next probably 6 weeks now.
I'll Venmo your missus that money. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. All right, move it on.
All right. Okay. Can they stay up?
Yeah, I do think they can. And I just think there's teams below them, talk about Forest, for example, that have got a much tougher run in. Forest's last 3 games are Chelsea away, Newcastle at home, United away. Can't seem to get any points out of those ones. So I think they've got that little bit of a cushion, a couple of points difference, but I think the teams below them, they're not winning games. They're not doing anything needs be, and I think Tottenham will be fine.
Yeah. Did you see the decision to take the keeper off at Atletico the other day?
I did. Two of the 3 goals completely at fault for, but you've got to understand I think that's come from the players on the pitch because they're looking at his body language. It reminds me of go back to our World Cup Wednesday shows when Gascoigne's got booked in the semi and Lineker's turned around to Robson. He's pointing to the eye to say keep an eye on him. You knew after the 3rd mistake, one of the defenders, I think it was Romero, turned around went over to the bench and he said something to him, and then the next thing you know, he's dragged him. So if you're playing, from a player's point of view, if you're that close to something that's happened, and you see if their head's gone or that they're crying or that kind of thing, it was the right decision to make, regardless if it's the 80th minute or the 1st minute. Feel sorry for the kid because it's some people don't come back. It reminded me a little bit of the Liverpool keeper in the Champions League final for you lot when he had his howlers. Never came back from that, did he? He never came back. I know he played in the League Cup final for Newcastle against United a couple of years ago, but a shadow of his former self. And goalkeeper's all about confidence. If your confidence is gone, you got to come off.
Yeah. And he's not a terrible keeper, you know. It's just a shame. Like De Gea, it happened to De Gea, it's happened to Karius, it's happened to other people. He'll come back from it. He'll come back from it. But like you said, I think the schedule is going to lend them a hand. Yeah. I mean, I hope that doesn't come into play this weekend.
Well,
otherwise it's going to be Hug a Red campaign next week. We're going to be reinventing it.
Yeah,
I think Spurs' schedule, they got, Liverpool, then they've got that big game at Forest, at home to Forest. I think that if they win that, they're safe. Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Leeds and Chelsea, their run-ins are a lot easier than Forest's. I really do think that. So it's going to be close, Gary. That's what's the excitement. It's a massive game. We'll get to the fixtures later, but it's a massive game, Spurs-Liverpool at the weekend.
For both ends.
If Liverpool lose, is that Champions League spot a little bit too far? Another step away from it. It's going to be tough.
It's funny. It's interesting to say this as well, because we'll talk about it a little bit in a second. But you talk about the way that the English teams have performed in Europe this week, and whether or not that coefficient will stand in order to afford the Premier League that extra spot. I wonder if it's the case. I wonder, have they done enough? Someone maybe can chime in on this one, because I'm not sure. But have English teams done enough already to earn that coefficient, or are they, when they said it last week, were they assuming that the England were just going to breeze through these games? Because I mean, you'd have had Arsenal winning. You'd have probably had City being a little bit closer than we were. Liverpool, I could probably see that result, but we were terrible. Right. Newcastle were unfortunate, really, right at the end.
Palace won, didn't they? Palace and Villa were the only two that got something.
Did Palace win? I saw they were drawing up. So Palace and Villa were the only two teams.
Let me just double check that confirmation.
Yeah, no, well,
no, they drew 0-0.
Yeah, so Ralphie's quick to jump on that again. Only one winner in Europe this week.
Wonder why. John McGinn's back. He's left his job at the pie shop and he's back in the team.
Well, John McGinn's like having two players in your team anyway, because of the size of his ass.
he's been out for 10 games, and that's why I hear from my Villa fans, my Villa supporting friends. It's John McGinn's what makes them tick. He's probably got one eye on the summer, but yeah, when McGinn's not there, I mean, they don't tick. And amazingly, makes his first game in a while tonight, and they've got the result.
On that though, right? On that, is this just is what happened this week a sign of all right, we've talked a couple of weeks ago about this time of year being the most intense, and this is what's the best thing about it and everything else. But from a team's point of view, if you're battling on all four fronts, or even three fronts, whereby you've got a Premier League game 2 weekends ago, then you've got a midweek Premier League game, then you've got an FA Cup 5th round game, then you've got a European game. Is it any surprise that the 9 teams this week, only one of them won?
Struggling. I don't think they have the squads anymore. And it's something that you and I have talked about in the past as well. If you look at, let's take the so-called top 6, right? They've pretty much got great starting 11s. And there may be 1 or 2 players that can start in those 11s if needs be. Go back to the days of, the 90s and the noughties, when United, Arsenal, Chelsea, even Liverpool at some point, they had 2 or 3 squads within those squads. So United in 99, if York and Cole aren't playing, Sheringham and Solskjaer can play and still score goals. The Chelsea teams, when they had 3 or 4 international strikers, and they had squads in depth. You don't really see that in the Premier League at the minute. It's a weird thing to look at and stuff. Whether players aren't wanting to be squad players, or they don't want to be backup players, or the other thing you see as well is Premier League teams now, especially the big 6, so-called top 6, they don't have potential players. They don't really give the 19, 20, 21-year-olds a chance to get a run of games and play. They've got to have the finished products from 1 to 11. It's very rarely now you're seeing United's a rare example of it right now with Sesko. They never would have had a Sesko being the main guy. He'd have been the 3rd or 4th choice striker, but they would have bred him in a little bit, get him used to it and stuff. You just don't see it in the squads. And I think that's having an effect in Europe now. Whereas, they can't go to Europe or the FA Cup games or the League Cup games, play the B team or the C team, pick up a win, and then back to the weekend, okay, let's get the A team back in again. So at Forest tonight, they pretty much played their starting 11, bar one or two players that's going to start on Sunday against Fulham. And it's happened in the other games as well. That's probably City's best starting 11. You could argue that, Villa's team tonight, strongest team they possibly had. So I think it's a squad thing that teams are starting to suffer now with the hangovers. You also look at it as well, it's World Cup season, right? I know it's a little bit different with teams and players in World Cup, how much it means to play for your country now, but I'm sure a lot of these players have got one eye in the summer now, and they don't want to be playing 3 games a week and get, tired for the tournament or fatigue and that kind of stuff. I don't know, where you at with it, Gary? What do you think about the squad sizes?
I mean, well, they're not there, are they? Because, again, with the FFP and everything else, I just think that, look, he's chimed in again. Yeah, they do. They look knackered in midfield, but like, how funny is it though that to say that about City?
Prime example of the Villa, of Newcastle, and certain other teams. These teams, to meet the financial regulations, are selling their youth team players. They're having to get rid of their youth team players. Villa sold one of their best players to Newcastle just to meet FFP. Newcastle did it with Forest, giving us Elliot Anderson. He'd be a shoe-in to start or be.
Look at these players like Oscar Bob. Oscar Bob he's gone. Cole Palmer was a City player. Like, these players would have been buzzing around. Harry Wilson was at Liverpool.
These would be the lads that would be playing in Europe this week for their hometown.
It comes to a point. Listen, it comes to a point when you have to go. Like, I always think about Phil Neville. Phil Neville left Man United. He'd won a lot of things. He'd been a bit part here and there. He wasn't a full-time starter like his brother. But then he went and had a mad career, great career at Everton. Right. But that's not those, like you've just said it then, those players don't really exist anymore for clubs. Like Liverpool have got a couple, like a Joe Gomez, maybe, arguably players like that, Curtis Jones. But
also the pressures on the managers. You don't see long-term managers anymore. So when someone like a Slot comes in, the money he's buying, he needs to get proven ready players to go. He can't say, well, this is a 5-6 year project. I'm going to sign this 18, 19-year-old. We're going to work around him. He'll go out and loan a little bit. And then in 5 years' time, he'll be a starting player in an international. Yeah. That's probably one of the arguments you could say with Tottenham, because Tottenham they're not spending the money on the wages. They're looking for the next best thing that potentially could go on and do something. Whereas compared to Liverpool, they signed Isak, which was proven pudding at Newcastle. He can score goals in the Premier League, as opposed to, let's go and get that kid from Europe. He's probably going to cost 20 or 30 million. He's not done it at this level, but maybe he'll be able to step up. Managers don't have that luxury anymore. They've got to go out and have success from the get-go.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. But we're not even trying. I take Liverpool because I'm biased, obviously, but like we're not even trying to put some players in. Obviously, this kid Rio, but I think that's because of pressure.
Right.
Trainee only gets 5 minutes every now and again. You've got players at other clubs who are popping in and out. But you're right.
Well, Gary, if somebody comes along from, I don't know, let's say Cov go up and Cov are like, okay, we'll give you 25 million for him. Liverpool will snap the hands off.
Well, I've said this as well. Like, think about it happened. It's happened already. It happened this season. Like, there's a player at Lille, Tyler Morton, and he'd have been around Liverpool. He's one of Lyon's best players this year. I mean, maybe Ralph, you can tell us this one because they played them today. Jarell Quansah, the kid's in the England squad, and we sold him to Leverkusen. Why? And now we're crying out for defenders. I think you're right. I think there's such a conscious effort to balance books that teams aren't able to keep on these players that maybe now all of a sudden the squad probably doesn't go down to 20 anymore. It probably goes more like to 15, maybe. Right. And then if you get a couple of injuries within that 15, well, now you're relying on, players that would have been number 20, 21, or you're relying on youngsters. And I think that's what's happened at Tottenham. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Tottenham because they have been poor across the board. Because you don't finish low in the league twice in a row without having something wrong. But Tottenham have been unfortunate with injuries and just haven't been able to cover it. And they put extra pressure on like Archie Gray, who's a good little player, but his confidence must be lower than a snake's belly at the moment because
you look at Spurs though. Harry Kane leaves for nothing. Son leaves for nothing. Who replaced those two players? Two world-class international players. Who replaced them? Nobody. You know, they put all their faith in, okay, they got Brennan Johnson for a few bob, but he was a potentially player that could go into something. He was still a young kid learning his trade. He'd had 1 or 2 seasons in the Premier League and he's still trying to like learn his trade. They're putting him into the team to say, okay, we used to have Son that could run up and down the wings, score goals for fun. Are you that guy? No chance.
Yeah. No, exactly. No, you're right. You're dead right. Like there's a study on BBC today. There was a study on BBC. Here we go. You know what? The stats on this, look at the stats on this. Squad cost ration in Europe are 70-75%. The Premier League is 80-85. I'm not sure what SCR is. He's going to have to explain that one to me. I can just imagine him frantically. I'm frantically testing. You know what? That's the line that I need because I can't give me numbers and random things. It's almost impossible to have big squads in it. And Villa will be the prime example of it because they are literally balancing books. Yeah. And they can't go and get people because they're balancing the books all the time. But there was a study on BBC today, seen it, or an article on BBC, and it gave the run-ins of the teams. So if you look at the top 2, the average position of the teams that City are going to play between now and the end of the season, as it stands right now, is 9th.
Right.
And the average position of the teams that they're going to play, that Arsenal are going to play, is 11th. Ooh, so the only team really that's in the top 6, top 7 is Man City that Arsenal have got to play. Whereas City have got to go play Villa, play Chelsea, and play Arsenal. So already it's looking more and more like Arsenal are going to be in the running. When it goes for the fight for the top 5, you've got Man United's average position 10th. Villa, the average position they're playing against is going to be 11th. Chelsea 10th and Liverpool 9th. So you would argue that Liverpool have got a tougher running. We've got a run of games towards the end there. Man United, Chelsea and Villa in a row. That's going to cause problems. And then when you go down to the bottom, and this might back your points up a little bit, right. Leeds, the average point for Leeds is 13th. So they have Man United away, but they've also got Wolves, Burnley, West Ham, Spurs, Brentford, Palace.
Theirs to survive, isn't it? It's theirs to do.
You would hope so, yeah. You would hope so, but then also Spurs have got, all right, they've got Liverpool and Villa and Chelsea all away, but they've also got Forest, Brighton at home, Leeds at home, Everton at home. You would hope Spurs would have enough there.
I think you hit a point, and we'll talk about the fixtures in a bit, but this weekend you've got 3rd versus 1st.
Here he is. He's got it. Thank you, mate. Squad cost ratio. Cheers, Ross.
Thank you. So this weekend of the fixtures, we'll get onto a bit, but you've got United versus Villa, and then you've got the week after you got Spurs versus Forest. So I think you're we'll know a little bit more about where the league's going after those games. I can't see City closing the gap at the top. I really can't. I just can't.
I don't think it's enough now. I maybe, you know what, maybe City beat Arsenal, but I still don't think it's going to be enough.
No.
Still don't think it's going to be enough. All right, mate. Well, listen, we're gonna kick on to fantasy football. All right. I've had an absolute nightmare again, if it's any consolation. So I'm not going to give you my team.
Just start doing the opposite of what your brain cell tells you.
Well, it's like that episode of Seinfeld, isn't it? With Costanza, where he goes, you know what, today I'm going to do the opposite of everything. And I should start doing this. The problem is I'll second guess myself. Does that mean I've got to do the opposite of the opposite?
Right.
Next thing, there's nobody in the team. So according to the scout on fantasy football on the Premier League app, right? These are your players you're looking for this week. You got Melker Elborg, who's at Sunderland. He's the 2nd string goalie at Sunderland, but he's playing, and he's only £4 million. You got Gabriel at Arsenal, 7.2 million. He got a decent amount of points. I think he got 11 points last week. I had him in my team. You got Van Dijk is still there. Van Dijk scoring goals. I mean, he got one disallowed in the week against Galatasaray, but he's getting on the end. Liverpool with this corner ratio thing they've got going on now. You know what? He's 6.2 million.
It's trending. These corners are trending, aren't they?
For Liverpool, he's starting to yeah. Nico O'Reilly. He's always in and around it, isn't he? He's 5.1 million. What a steal. I kind of want to put Arsenal and Man City players in my team, so it struggles. I'm just going to put everyone on Liverpool's rivals in my team. Bruno Fernandes. They've got Bruno Fernandes as captain this week. He's a big chunk of money at 10.1 million. And they have got Villa at home. But free kicks, penalties, you know what? He's got that, hasn't he? Maybe that comes up. Then you've got the obvious one.
Sorry, do you think Nico O'Reilly makes the plane this summer?
It's a question, isn't it? You never know, do you? I mean, he's do you take the best players? Do you take the most effective players who are in form?
Tuchel doesn't, though, does he? He's got his kind of like mold. He's got his circle.
I think he's been better. I think he's been better than most managers, like most coaches in the past, because I think they just take who they take. We've got the obvious one, which is Semenyo.
Just reminded me of something. Remember when Sven Eriksson used to pick Chris Powell for England at left back because he was the best player in the Premier League, the best left back at the time, he thought.
Or Hodgson would have Konchesky. Oh.
What are you lot?
Oh, mate, I've heard the worst chant ever at Anfield for Paul Konchesky. And that's when his mum went on Twitter and called them Scouse scum, called us Scouse scum.
Game over.
And then that was it. He had to go immediately then because his ma just got out of hand. You got Semenyo at 8.3 million. You've got Ismail Sarr at Palace. They're playing Leeds, so there may be a goal in there for him. 6.3 million. You've got Marcus Tavernier at Bournemouth, 5.3. Does he take corners as well?
He does take corners, free kicks.
Does, yeah. And then the three forwards are Ekitike at 9.1 million. Then you've got João Pedro, 7.7. And then there you go. He's kicked off already. Bruno always get a pen against the Villa. I don't know if that's controversial talk or if that's just the fact that he's just bitter. João Pedro at 7.7 and then Thiago at 7.2, the big fella for Brentford. Brentford got this week? Oh, Brentford have got Wolves at home, so again, might not be a bad
Monday Night Football. Can Wolves get 3 on the bounce?
Who knows?
Who knows?
All right.
It's a massive game. United Villa at the weekend is such a big game.
Well, we're going to get to it now, mate. Because as it happens, we're going to go to our lock, shock, and game of the week. Now,
I struggled with this. I really did struggle with this.
Well, I'm a nightmare. Like, I'm a gambling nightmare. Like, I can't pick a winner to save me life. Like, and the Grand National's coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So again, another reason for me not to win anything, especially when horse racing season comes around.
Cheltenham's this weekend, right? Or this week?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, it's definitely. I think it is this week. Yeah. All right. Okay. You've got a couple of fixtures in there. You've got Burnley, Bournemouth, the first game. I think there's a lot of games this week, right? You know, if you were a better man, you were doing the coupon. I think there's a lot of draws this week. But I also see a lot of high scoring games as well.
It's a great weekend for an accumulator. If you're into all that, kind of get your Aki on the go.
You know, like the both teams to score accumulators, or this is a shameless pitch for FanDuel. If they fancy getting involved to sponsor us on the Thursday night show, rock in, lads, and we'll give you what we can. The problem is though, we've actually got to pick winners.
Do it responsibly. Gamble responsibly.
Yeah. Do you know what? Honestly, right? He comes out with 2-2 there. He's probably predicting the United Villa game. I think 2-2 is a common one for a lot of these games. Like Burnley, Bournemouth wouldn't surprise me. Score draws all over the place. Sunderland, Brighton. Sunderland are at home. They need a bit of a bounce. They've gone a bit of a dip of form. Arsenal are home to Everton. You've got to think that Arsenal are going to win there.
Super Jack back yet? Or is he still on the sick note?
Oh, he's done for the season, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Nah, Chelsea against Newcastle, another one that could be high scoring.
Right.
Newcastle,
that could go either way.
Yeah, and Newcastle, I think Newcastle playing away from home helps them more, if I'm honest, just because they haven't got the pressure of the crowd. Because some of their home games are reckless.
Sometimes their fans turn up or not. I know they turn up, but it depends if they get behind the team or they're against the team.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they watched the United get the Manchester game last week. And they were behind the team from start to finish, no matter what the score was or how they were playing. They just wanted to win that game. Then you watch some other Newcastle games, and they're just like on the players from the get-go. It's like, just, be the 12th man, get behind it. But anyway, it's in the water. It's in the water.
All right, West Ham, a home to City.
That's going to be my lock. I'm going to say it earlier. That's actually my lock, because I was going to pick the same lock you did, but I can't do that. So I had to do something different. So I think City, after losing big time in Europe, Pep very rarely loses 2 games on the bounce. And I think this will be their last weekend, maybe a roll in the dice for the league. If they can get a win and Arsenal drop points, bit of motivation, bit of momentum. But I think if Arsenal win and then, because this is the game after, if Arsenal win,
because this is a late game, this one, isn't it?
A bit too much pressure for them. Tired legs coming back from Spain. West Ham still scrapping. They just can't score goals.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
What the heck?
Arsenal play at what's 1:30 here, so it's 4. So Arsenal play at what time is that?
Arsenal's 5:30.
Oh wow, Arsenal's 5:30 kickoff at home. Yeah,
they did the big blocks this weekend. Yeah.
Oh, Man City, West Ham at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So they're going to be. I mean, listen, if Arsenal, you're right. If Arsenal win, they go 8 points clear of them, and then that's game over. West Ham scoring that game.
They'll be 10 points clear. 10 points clear but City will have 2 games in hand. But I think that's just psychologically, it'll just be those legs will be even more tired to come back.
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it?
And like you say, they got whooped this week. Whooped.
Palace, you got Palace Leeds Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. I think this is my game of the week. I think this is going to be one of those mental games. I think I'm going to like a high scoring game. I mean, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but for the sake of FanDuel, we don't. But I think this is going to be one of those games that just is bonkers. I really hope that on Monday morning we are posting a reel of me saying this now.
Game of the week.
This game was the game of the week because I just want it to be an absolute beast of a game. Both teams are going for it. I really think that Palace are probably safe, but I think if Leeds win this, it goes a long way to getting them out of trouble and clear. You know what I mean? And clears them of danger.
Yep.
All right. Man United Villa.
That's my game of the week. It's my game of the week. 3rd versus 4th. Will we have a Makeda style moment? Or I think that's the game of the week. It's 3rd versus 4th. Villa have got to do something. They've got to do something. If Ralph, you can chime on this and stuff, but they've lost the last 2 league games. They've not won a league game now, and this will be the 5th game without a win. Form's not looking too good for them. Have we reached the end of the Carrick honeymoon period? Have United got another gear to go up and scrap a few wins to get it over? Fresh legs, obviously, from having an extra couple of days off and whatnot. But I think it's my game of the week, and I think United 2-1.
All right. Forest Fulham. Forest are at home. They fixed the seats.
Well, I don't think they're going to be going to Turkey at the end of the season to get the revenge back on that stadium. But I think this is my shock of the week. I think Forest are going to win. I think Forest are going to win. Horrific record against Fulham over the last decade or so. He's on that 2-2, isn't he?
2-2 this week, man. Back at 2-2.
Get a pound on Ladbrokes, see how it goes down. Ladbrokes, another great opportunity to join the show. I've got this down as my shock of the week, only for the fact that Forest, they're playing okay. They just can't score. But they haven't, I think they've gone 8 games now without a win at home. And I think this is in the league, 8 league games without a win. This is going to be my shock of the week. I think they're going to turn the tables. They were bad today, but they were still creating a few chances.
If there was a nervous game of the week, it will be the next one. Liverpool-Tottenham. If we lose this game...
You spent all that time doing that fancy... And I'll let you know, that wasn't me. That was Gary. He spent this whole, did the little campaign and all that kind of stuff. And, mate, it's a massive game. It's a massive game for a couple of reasons. If you look at the table, right, Liverpool are 3 points off 4th, which we don't know. A couple of weeks ago, it was a home banker. We get 5 Champions League spots. Could be 4 now. The form teams out of Villa, Chelsea, and Liverpool, you'd probably argue it was Liverpool. But Spurs haven't won in forever, and that streak can't go on. It just can't go on.
I worry that Spurs away from home are more. I mean, obviously not in Madrid, but I worry in the Prem that Spurs away from home may be more dangerous than they are at home. Because at home, if something goes bad,
the fans are leaving. Yeah, the fans are leaving.
But like at Anfield, they might just, I don't know, they might play with a little bit of pressure off.
The Spurs
the crazy thing is, so got to go on.
No, Spurs have got Liverpool this weekend, a trip away in Europe in the week, and then they play Forest next weekend. So those 2 games, Liverpool and Forest, that's their season right there and then. That is their season. If they come out with no wins out of those, they're right back at they're really in it because Forest will go above them.
Oh, he's absolutely done me as well. Done me.
Well, but if and then for Liverpool, if they lose that game, psychologically puts so much pressure on them. But if they win that game, the Villa lose against United, Liverpool could be in the top 4.
And Chelsea, if Chelsea don't beat Newcastle,
right,
and even if Villa, if one of those teams win, then that puts Liverpool in the top 4.
Yeah. So it's so close. And again, these games are critical. I think the key thing is for your Forest and your Tottenhams, don't lose, right? Like we said about Leeds, pick up the points every now and again, scrape the points, get a little bit and stuff. But mate, those 2 games are going to be huge games.
Yeah. And then the last one on Monday night is Brentford against Wolves.
Super Wolves. Super
Wolves win 3 on a spin.
You know what? The way they're playing, would that take them off the bottom? Well, beyond points, goal difference with Burnley. No pressure on them, though, is there? There's no pressure on them. They've just beaten 2 of the top teams in the league, and no pressure. And I'm sure that's their mentality. You used to see it when you were kids. Just go out there and enjoy it. I'm sure you said that as a coach many times, Gary. Just go out there and enjoy it. What does that mean? It means nothing, but just go out there and enjoy it. No pressure. If you win, we're already down. If you lose, we're already down. But if you win, we're pretty much getting the calculator out again for another week. We're still alive. We're still alive.
They are still alive, aren't they? They are still alive. All right. So you're going for lock of the week. City away at West Ham.
Yeah.
Shock of the week is Forest at home to Fulham.
Yeah.
Game of the week is Man United Villa.
Yep.
All right. I'm going lock of the week, Arsenal against Everton.
Yep.
Shock of the week. I don't know if it's a shock, but it's still a shock. I'm going Newcastle to beat Chelsea.
I thought you were going to say Spurs then for a second.
No chance, mate. I'm not touching that game. And then I think game of the week, Palace Leeds. I just think absolute barnstormer that I hope Leeds win because I want them to stay up. But that's what we're going to go with, and hopefully we can clip it up next week and make ourselves all look like geniuses.
Did a Mr. Robert Gibson give you any money to say that by chance?
He didn't actually. No, he didn't. And that's the thing. But I do have a soft spot for Leeds. I do have a spot.
I'm sure there's a shirt in there somewhere.
Definitely Leeds. I got a Robbie Fowler Leeds shirt.
Right. See, I can't do it because my dad's from Huddersfield, so that Southwest Yorkshire thing, they just can't do it. All right, moving on, kid. Moving on. We're rocking on time.
Shock of the week: Spurs to beat Liverpool. It's Kelly Sausage Fingers at it again. Kelly, I've just fell on my keyboard, so I can't do my second name.
I've not heard from Heavy Kev tonight. Heavy Kev, if you're watching, what's your game of the week? Put it in there, kids. Let's see what you got.
We should give a shout out to Heavy Kev. He got involved big time last week.
Pretty much every question right last week. He was on form.
He played a blinder. He did a blinder. He played a blinder. All right.
He could be our go-to guy if there's controversy on the show. We're going to be Man in the Sky, Heavy Kev 42.
That's true. That is true. Well, that's us, mate, for this week. But before we go, we are going to go back to what we said at the beginning because no one chimed in on these answers. I don't think people were thinking about it.
No.
As you're going through the show, if you watch this back, again, we tried to build this as a Thursday thing. Given the success of last week's trivia question online on socials, we couldn't really think of a...
I beg to differ. We did think of it, and this is a great presentation of what we've come up with. So yeah, just don't be so hard on yourself.
Do you know what? Here's one for I'm going to save this for a sec. Yeah, we did think about it a little bit, but the name that we did come up with was Gary and Chris's proper dead hard Thursday trivia question. And the trivia question for this week that we're going to stick online and hopefully people were going to get on top of is name the 10 oldest remaining football grounds that still host games in England's top 4 leagues. There are some rascal suggestions out there.
Have a think about it. Don't just start shouting out any kind of football stadium or football team you can think of. Because one of the things you got to remember, 100 plus years ago when a lot of these teams were playing, they weren't playing at the stadiums they were playing at now. So if you're a bit of a boffin like Gary and myself, and you like to look at the history of clubs, some of those clubs didn't even have the original names that they had back then. And they certainly weren't playing at the stadiums they played back then as well. So It's not necessarily the oldest clubs, it's the oldest grounds. Read the question. RTFQ. RTFQ. If you know, you know.
Exactly. And before we go, just remember, a hug can change the world.
I'm going to do it, Gary. I'm going to do it. I've had a good week in the coins. I'm going to throw another one in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put an extra one in there.
That could be the hashtag of the week. Hashtag hug a spot. Hug. I can't even say it properly. Hashtag hug a Hotspur.
I've got 2 Washingtons for a Tottenham fan. If you'd like to claim these 2 Washingtons and you know somebody that needs our help, I'm here for you.
Okay. Guys, listen, been an absolute pleasure this week. I've been Gary. That's been Chris. Next week, we're looking forward to the games this weekend. Next week, we've got Rival Bros on Tuesday. We have World Cup Wednesday on Wednesday. Obviously, we're not quite sure where we're going with it yet. We may bring it a bit more further forward than Spain 82. Who knows? We're not going for 1990 just yet, though.
Viva forever.
But we'll see what we go. And then we'll be back next week for the Thursday preview show. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. And don't forget to hug a Hotspur. Good night.
Good night, guys.